The mass rape trial, which has stunned France and the world, has ended with 51 men all being found guilty. All but 2 of them are in jail tonight for what they did to this one woman, 72-year-old Gisèle Pelicot. Her former husband, whom she married in 1973, got the longest sentence, 20 years, for drugging his wife and allowing dozens of men to rape her repeatedly over a 10-year period. Gisèle Pelicot said she'd waived her right to anonymity during the 3-month trial so that society could see what was happening. Our correspondent Andrew Harding reports now from the court in Avignon in the south of France.
The accused arrived early at court. Faces masked as usual, some with their prison bags already packed. A few showing open contempt for this trial. But the crowd here in Avignon and the forest of cameras were not here for the men. This trial has, in so many ways now, become all about this woman, Gisèle Pelicot. Her face at least seemed serene this morning. The rape victim who refused to feel shame. Inside the crowded courtroom, the judge quickly got on with the business of the day. Verdicts first, then sentencing for all 51 men. Dominique Pelicot sat quietly in his glass cage as the judge turned to address him.
The defendants will stand up in turn to hear the verdicts. Mr. Pelicot first. The court finds him guilty of aggravated rape.
Inside the courtroom here, the verdicts have been coming at a furious pace. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Dominique Pelicot has just stood up to be told that he will be sentenced to 20 years in prison, the maximum here in France for rape. He showed no emotion, nor did his former wife, Gisèle, sitting quietly at the other side of the courtroom. Outside the courthouse, some people celebrated the news. But others were angry that many of the men got lighter sentences than anticipated. Shame, they shouted. Back inside, Dominique Pelicot's lawyer told me her client was considering an appeal. I asked what his mood was like. Fatalistic, she replied, the way he's always been throughout the trial. And then, after a pause, Gisèle Pelicot emerged to give her reaction.
It is with deep emotion that I speak to you today. This trial was a very difficult ordeal. I think, first of all, of my 3 children, David, Caroline and Florian. I also think of my grandchildren, because they are the future, and it's also for them that I have led this fight. I want to express my deepest gratitude to all the people who have supported me throughout this ordeal. I was overwhelmed by your support, and from it, I drew the strength to come back each day to face these long court hearings. I wanted to open the doors of this trial last September so that society could see what was happening. I have never regretted this decision. I have confidence now in our capacity, collectively, to find a better future in which men and women alike can live harmoniously together with respect and mutual understanding. Thank you.
It's half a century now since the Pelicots met and fell in love. She described him as a perfect husband. But at a supermarket in 2020, Dominique Pelicot was caught in this footage filming up women's skirts. Police soon discovered computer files with other videos proving he'd been inviting dozens of strangers to rape his wife after he drugged her. In prison, he was assessed by a psychiatrist.
Mr.
Pelicot desired total control over his wife. He wanted to reduce her to an object, a possession to be used for his satisfaction. Then he could lend this object to other people. And to do all that, he needed to drug her.
And these were not his first crimes. DNA evidence soon proved Pelicot had begun attacking women years earlier. He's being investigated for the 1991 rape and murder of Sophie Nahm, which he denies. He also took indecent images of his daughter Caroline, who was in court today along with her 2 brothers. She's convinced her father also raped her. This afternoon, Pelicot and most of the other rapists were taken away to begin their sentences. Among them, firemen, a journalist, a nurse, all ages, 3/4 of them fathers. There was a moment of tension outside when one of the defence lawyers taunted the crowd, calling them hysterical, then swearing at them. Here comes Gisèle Pelicot now, leaving the courthouse for the last time. She has achieved something quite extraordinary here, this courageous public stance. The impact of that will surely ripple through society here, perhaps for decades. She could, like most rape victims, have chosen to remain anonymous at the trial. Instead, listen to the reaction she now receives. She wanted to change attitudes, and perhaps she has. Rise up, they sing. And with that, Madame Pelicot, engulfed by gratitude, walks on.
And we can speak to Andrew now. Andrew, you've called this case extraordinary. It shocked so many people around the world. And then you talk about attitudes. Is it likely to change anything in France?
I think it will in practical terms. There's going to be a lot of pressure now on the government to invest more in investigations into rapes and alleged rapes, also to invest more in test kits so that women who believe they've been drugged, for instance, can quickly gather the sort of evidence that's so necessary at trial. In terms of attitudes, you still talk and hear from a lot of French men who feel like a lot of the men who were found guilty tonight, that actually this thing has been exaggerated, that the issue of consent is more muddled than it was presented. But at the same time, I think this is a huge opportunity to challenge those sorts of views. This is a subject, a trial that has been so much discussed in bars here, at kitchen tables, across the country. And it has shone a light on these issues of consent and of, particularly of drugging in order to rape, that a lot of people misunderstood. They thought they were just happening in bars, in restaurants, and in the wilderness, if you like it, where rapes would happen in dark parks. Instead, it's been proven that these things happen in people's homes by people they know. And I think that will shift a lot of opinions.